direction or completely in the other. And this is a huge sort of impact to the person, family, and to society in general. Let's catch up the slides. Sorry, I didn't realise I wasn't playing the right side. So that's what I was just saying. It's a really normal listening environment. That is sensible. It allows us to talk to people who may have a hearing loss or may not. But we need to look at optimal lighting and room positioning, reduction of the background noise, and obviously trying to talk face to face with good, clear intonations. When we look at management, we can break it down into the conductive and the sensorineural, and there's a lot of personal choice here in the matter, so the patient can choose what they would like to have or how they would like to be managed. Really, the mainstay of a lot of treatment is rehabilitation with hearing aids and the use of hearing assistive devices. For conductive hearing loss, most of these can be rectified with surgery. The most common surgery is the insertion of grommets, particularly for kids, but even for adults. Whilst for sensorineural hearing loss, because of the permanency of the hearing, we are looking at cochlear implants as the only type of surgery that can be done. But in that respect, we have a very, very strict criteria. So, I think it's important to recognise and acknowledge the achievements that the GHA have undertaken over the past year. We have made huge strides in detection, prevention and intervention. We have a UK NHS standard baby hearing screening programme. We have world-class audiology facilities, of which this is a picture of one of our rooms, which was opened in 2022. And now, as of this year, we undertake the full age range of audiology tests. That means that we now do children below the age of 3 are tested locally. Not only is this a cost saving for the GHA, which is great, and I'm sure that my DG would be very happy with that, we are also in a position that we save the disruption to the family and the child to be travelling to the UK for repeated testing. The last achievement that I think it's worthwhile acknowledging is the adult cochlear implant programme. This was started in 2023, cost saving of approximately £20,000 per patient. We are one of a handful of hospitals in the UK that do this type of surgery. And not only do we do the surgery locally now, we also provide and do the post-rehabilitation. As mentioned, it saves £20,000 per patient, but the patient no longer needs to stay in the UK for approximately 4 months, which is a huge impact to the patient, family, their work, career, and everything else that comes with it. I've been leading this along with my colleague Miss Quinn from the Audiology Department, as well as our colleagues from University College Hospital. The switch on moment, and you might have all seen it in these TikTok videos where the baby then starts hearing and all this, it's incredibly emotional. GBC are following the lives of a few of these people while they've gone through the process, and I was honoured and privileged enough to be in the viewing room when our first patient had that switch on moment. And she was with the audiologist, just the two in the suite, and she kept on saying that she could hear someone talking in the room. And it was her hearing her own voice for the first time in 20 years. And it was hair on end moment and everyone was crying. So you can imagine how that is, and when you have children in particular, or the parents, you are looking at them realising that sliding door moment, realising that they could have a child who can hear. So when that child reacts to sounds for the first time, they realise that they will be in full-time education in a year and a half or 2 years, depending where it is. And I've got a very short video that's possible to just play. And it is. it isn't. That's fine.
Yeah, you
You can see how that would be incredibly emotional for the parents. Not so much maybe for the child, but for the parents, because they really have a full understanding of how emotive that is. We need to look at future strategies, but we need to constantly remember that hearing impairment isn't a medical problem and it isn't a personal problem to that person. We need to be looking at awareness campaigns, which the local charity Keynote do quite a lot of. We need to foster community engagement and reduce stigma, I do apologise. We also need to promote early hearing testing, enhance screening and vaccination programs, and improve access to hearing technologies. With the governmental ministries and departments, we need to strengthen the hearing impairment strategy within the disability legislation. Create inclusive policies, preventative noise reduction measures, and establish targets moving forward. There was a very good report written by the World Health Organization in 2022, of which recommendations we should incorporate and look upon. And I need to recognise and acknowledge the hard work that the GITA team have been doing with local awareness campaigns, the promotion of the BSL, and the lobbying of the government and the GHA to promote and improve services. Sorry, I'm distracted by looking at one screen and not pressing the button. So that was the previous one, and this is the one we're going to talk about now. So in summary, and I didn't want to make it too long, and I didn't want to go into too much detail from a medical perspective, because that's not the purpose of this, sort of like setting. It is a huge global burden. 1.5 billion people with this problem, and nearly 500 million people with a disabling hearing loss. Third most common of years lived with a disability, and reaching nearly now $1 trillion per year. Screening and vaccination programs are the most cost-effective ways of managing permanent hearing loss with early identification and intervention. There are different types of hearing loss, and we can manage them by different ways, and it's a personal choice to the person. We need to be thinking of ideal listening conditions at all times, but there are hearing aids, assistive devices, and surgery, including cochlear implants. So, it is widespread, but it is an invisible disability. It has huge impact for the patient, the person, the education, the family life, the lifelong earnings, the mental health, cognitive decline, and an overall poor quality of life. We need to recognise the great strides that the GHA have undertaken in detection, prevention and intervention over the past 10 years. And we need to be looking at creating a tailor-made, comprehensive and integrated strategy for Gibraltar, which should include the WHO report from 22, early detection, awareness, inclusion policies and community support, and improvement access to technologies, and ideally looking at noise reduction prevention policy. We have to remember that hearing impairment is not just a health issue. And if you would indulge me for 1 second, I've thought of a potential something for all of us to work together, and we should aspire to break that sound barrier and establish Gibraltar as a global leader in hearing health and accessibility. By us together working collectively, we should implement an integrated, comprehensive and sustainable hearing health strategy. Thank you very much.